Uh, Dear friends, I invite you all to watch this video. Thanks for watching. Today we have Father Bill, missionary to Japan. So let's have a chat with him. Okay. So Bill, it's a pleasure to have you here for the chat.
Well, thank you very much. I'm glad to be here.
So could you share about yourself to the audience, about where are you from and when did you ordain or when did you come to Japan? So a few details about yourself.
Okay. I came to Japan in 1962. It was 2 years before the Olympics in Tokyo. And the Oblates had built a seminary in Tokyo because we thought there were a lot of seminarians and they should be formed in Japan rather than somewhere else. And my brother was here. My brother Tom was here, and the Oblates put out a all points inquiry. Who would like to go to Japan? Okay. So I never had the idea that I want to go to Japan, but Tom was here for 7 years before me. And so I knew a little bit about Japan because of his letters. And I decided that if my superiors thought I had the qualifications to work in Japan, I wouldn't be adverse to going.
Okay.
But it wasn't something that I wanted to go. So the superior at the time, I think it was Father Dice, my superior at the time, because I was in theology already. I told him, I put it to him just like that I'm not of the opinion that I want to go to Japan, but if you think I have the qualifications for Japan, I'm not adverse to going. So the superior said, well, think about that. Let's think about that for at least a year, and then see how your opinion changes, or if it doesn't change or does change. So that's what we did, and that's at the end of the year. I was the same opinion.
Okay.
And he said, okay, let's write a letter to the Superior General, which was de Châtelet, and just like you said to me. And we wrote the letter, and the answer came back, go. So I came, and I was told in Latin, you should, because I was already late, I was told to go quam primum. Now, I wasn't too good in Latin, and I should have studied more, because quam primum means right away. And I took it literally. So I tried to get ready as right away, which was a week, and took off for Japan.
Okay.
And later, when I got here, everybody was saying, why did you come so late? You should have taken a little time at home. And I said, well, it said quam primum. They said, that means a little time at home, at least a month. And I said, well, it's a little too late now. But anyway, I came, and I started thinking about the qualifications of Japan, because I'm not too good in languages, and Japanese is a very difficult language, especially they have this kanjis and all these things. So I got here, and I went into a Japanese house, and the door jambs were 1 meter 80 centimeters, and I was 1 meter 94 centimeters. So I'm always banging my head in these Japanese houses. So after a while I thought, I don't think the Superior General or my superior knew anything about the qualifications for Japan. But anyway, I've never been disappointed that I came. Okay, and I said before I came in 1962, 2 years before the Olympics. I went to the seminary there, but our seminary was you studied a year and a half of language because of the school years starting and finishing, or half a year off.
Okay.
So we, I studied my year and a half of language, and then we went to the major seminary, which was nearby our house. You could walk in 10 minutes.
Okay.
And I came with 2 years of philosophy and 1 year of theology finished. And my classmate Ray Jun, who used to be Ray Burgoyne, but now it's Jun Ikeda. And he had had 3 years of philosophy. I think he studied in Rome. And he, so when I got here, and after my language study and going into theology, I went into second year theology, and Ray was going into, June was going into second year theology also. So I became a classmate of June.
Okay.
And we had, I forget all the guys, Duffy was here, he later left. But anyway, I won't go into that. We studied theology, and once it became time to be ordained, they told us we could get ordained anywhere you wanted. So I wanted to get ordained in Chicago. So I asked some oblates that I knew in Chicago, see if there was a place I could get ordained in Chicago. And a friend of mine, Bob Kaufman, he checked into it, and he found out I could get into the Mundelein class of that year, which had 32 being ordained. I'd be 33, but the cardinal would let me be ordained there. And so I said, okay, good. But there was only one stipulation. The Mundelein chapel was small, and class of 33, you could only have 10 visitors, or 10 come to your ordination. So that was a drawback, but it would be ordained in Mundelein with that class. So I did my retreat at Notre Dame. It's the Holy Cross Fathers, and I prepared for my ordination. And we talked about this once before, but I'm ordained 57 years now.
Okay.
57. And you came up with a figure of 61, but I think the 61 was, what did I say the 61 was?
Maybe arrival of Japan?
Yeah, I guess maybe that's it. I was in Japan for 61 years
61
now,
years.
and 57 years a priest.
Oh.
So I'll be celebrating my 60th anniversary, if I'm alive, in 3 years.
3 years, wow.
60th as a priest. I have a large blessing from the Pope.
Okay.
Which we get at the, I probably got it at 50 years.
50 years of priestly anniversary.
And let's see, what else?
So you originally belonged to the Chicago province, or you belong to different
No,
province?
at the time in the States, we had 5 provinces. I was in what they call the Central Province.
Okay.
The Central.
Mm.
It's also known as the German province because our oblates, we had a lot of German oblates in the Central Province, but they didn't have any cohesion.
Mm.
But one of the oblates, he found out all these guys and he petitioned Rome. He said, could we have a province?
Mm.
And Rome said, okay.
Oh.
And you can be the Central Province. Now, we had the Eastern Province, which was June was part of the Eastern. No, June would have been the Franco-American province. They spoke French. So we had Franco-American, we had the Eastern province, they call it Eastern. And that's, by the way, the province that started Japan.
Okay.
They were responsible for the mission in Japan. And then we had the Central Province, and we later had the Southern Province. And we also had the Western Province.
Okay.
So there were 5 provinces. But now they all got paid into one province, and it's just the American province.
Okay. So that's one province.
Yeah, the American province. And the central place is in Washington.
Okay.
Near the big cathedral in Washington.
So, as you said, you are from the Central Province, and your brother was here as a missionary in Japan, and you were interested to come. You got permission, studied the language, and went to your own province, Chicago, to get ordained and come back. So, for spending a language course and few years in Japan, what was your feeling, impression at that time? It will be 60 years before. Like, how about?
To tell you the truth, if I did it again, I would not come as a seminarian.
Okay.
I would study theology in the States and get your theology in English and get your theology over with, be ordained, and then come, study the language here, and go into the work here in Japan.
Okay.
Because I think it would be, for me, it would be a better way to do it. Because the idea was to come to Japan early, and then you'd get more language, and you'd get more used to the customs of the people. But it didn't work out that way with me. I came early, and I studied theology here. But we were studying in Latin and we were in Japanese and all kinds of things with foreign teachers. And I didn't get acclimated according to the way they told me we would be. But I'm, like I say, I'm not disappointed in it. And when in the States, I was ordained by Cardinal Cody. He was the Bishop of Chicago, the Cardinal in Chicago.
But it's nice you shared that. So after finishing theology and come to Japan and do the missionary activities, it's nice. So. But as soon as after ordination, again you come back to Japan and start your real ministry as a missionary to Japan. So, is there any unforgettable experience? Well, of course, 60 years you have been here and you have tremendous and vast experience. So, can you pick up one or two experiences to say how happy you were, what good experience or bad experience? Maybe good is better.
Well, it's interesting. I'm now in Koga. This is Koga Parish.
Yeah.
It's in the Diocese of Fukuoka. And the first parish that I was assigned to was Hikarigaoka Parish.
Okay.
It's on the other side of this city, on the other side. And Dick Haar was the pastor there. And the church that stands there now was built the year I was at Hikarigaoka. I was only there a year with Dick Haar.
Okay.
And that church was built at that time. And now it's a beautiful, it's the church is old, but the Shisai-kan and the Shinto-kan are all new, and it's a different situation. But that was my first parish in Japan. Okay. And a very good parish to be the first parish because it was developed and the people were nice and I enjoyed the first year. And what else?
Can you say something about your Nakamura parish that you cherish and love?
Nakamura is Tengoku, so when you get a chance, go to Tengoku, heaven.
It's heaven, yeah.
The situation at Nakamura was the Oblates were going to that area 3 days a month, I think. And the priest would go down, he'd stay at a hotel, and he'd do the work at Mass and so forth at various places. And the Oblates, I was a Rusuban for my brother at Aki, and I was there for 6 months in Aki. And that was finishing, and there was the superior, I think it was Silver at the time, we were talking about what to do after Aki. And I was open to various things, and they needed an English teacher at the Dominicans run a high school in Ehime. What's that called?
Aikogakuin.
Yeah. And they wanted an English teacher there, and Silver asked me, would you want to do that? And I really didn't come to Japan to be an English teacher. But at the time, you had English classes, no matter where you were, because people wanted an English-speaking person. And so anyway, I said, okay, I'll take it a year or so, you know. But they got an English teacher. The Dominicans got an English teacher. He studied in England or something and came over. So they didn't need an English teacher. And so the Oblate said, Nakamura is a place that we're thinking of developing. And we'd like someone to go down there and live down there, not just go down once a month. And I said, sounds great to me. And it was funny, the Catholics in the Nakamura area, I think there were 25 on the roster, you know, that I got for a roster. And they got a house and rented a house. It was a real old Japanese house. So everything was tatami.
Tatami.
And it was 6 mat tatami room and a 4.5 mat tatami room together. And if you open the doors, you had a 10 tatami Catholic church. And outside I had Catholic church.
Okay.
And I taught all kinds of English classes and anything I could get involved in. And it was heaven.
Okay.
Because I was a missionary. And I was down there in a mission territory, and I was doing missionary work, and it was terrific. So
it was not like a kind of a church, a building, but you started in the simple Japanese house, and you stayed there, and you began teaching English classes, and weekends you Sunday masses
Oh,
together.
sure, yeah. For the parishioners that were there. And catechism classes and everything, you know. And like I say, it was really great. I did the bathroom was a kumitori bathroom. In other words, you had to get it pumped out every once in a while.
Okay.
So you didn't have a flush toilet. And there was no furo. So I had to go to the public ofuro. It was very cheap. You go down there and so that was terrific because I was in Japan and I was living like a Japanese and everything was terrific.
Okay, so I really feel when you say that I was a missionary spirit, young and want to do it. The words really I'm able to feel it.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. I was young, and now I don't recognize that old man there. But anyway. Anyway.
So this year, 2023, November 27, we will be celebrating 75th of our presence. So another important question I would like to ask is, as we celebrate Oblate presence in 75 years in Japan, so you have been 60 years, more than 60 years in Japan. How do you feel in?
To be quite honest with you, I feel old. I feel old. I'm 85 years old, and that's me. So I've done a lot of work in Japan, and I feel that there's people after me that have to continue the work, and it's not me anymore. It's I'm retired. And so that's how I feel. How do you feel? I'm interested in this mission continuing. I think the Oblates have a work here, and I think and seeing all you young guys come from various other countries, and the people that first came from the eastern province of Japan. They were Americans or Belgian, so Europe, but now that's dried up. And now we have India, Sri Lanka. In fact, we're a province under the province of Sri Lanka, where it's a different situation. And I'd like to do whatever I can do to continue, but it's not me. It's the younger fellows that are coming up. And I see the Spirit working insofar as Japan is an Asian country. And the Asian countries are, of the Oblates are giving the men to continue the mission in Japan. So I think it's the Spirit working.
Wonderful.
And it's not only the Spirit working, but well, no, I don't want to put it that way. No.
So very happy to have a chat with you.
Okay.
Okay, and we are looking forward to have a celebration, and to the viewers, those who are watching the videos. So shall we ask them to pray for us to continue the ministry?
Sure.
So any few words for the viewers, those who are watching the videos.
Well, I thought I'd been talking to you all this time. However, certainly we need prayer, and we need prayer to face whatever the Lord has in mind for me, for us and for me from now on. And this Easter, I've been thinking a lot about Fukkatsu, resurrection, because it's come. I'm closer to. I'm closer to this phenomenon, and it's going to be. It's going to be great because you're going to resurrect, and you're going to be young again, and you're going to meet all these people that you have come in contact with during your life, and it's going to be great. Cardinal George, an Oblate who was the cardinal in Chicago, towards the end he used to say he looked forward to the resurrection. He wanted to see exactly what that's going to be. And I feel that same way. So anyway, please pray for me, and I'll pray for you. And have a good 75th anniversary, and I hope you're all around at the 100th anniversary of the Oblates in Japan. I don't think I'm going to be here, but I'll be watching from up above. Okay, so let's keep each other in our prayers. Thank you very much.